Bloodwolf Arts Studio. Unleash the artist within.
Welcome to Bloodwolf Art Studio, and I'm your host, Mr. Moonlight. Today I'm talking about my next poem in my book series titled Words, written on May 1st, 2011. So a lot about this poem is pretty upfront. It's about words. It's a lot of the thoughts and reflections I had on the power of words at the time. And it was a lot about the words I use, the words other people use, how they're affecting me, how the words I say is affecting other people. And during this period in my life, I was um, between 18, 19 years old, almost 19, thereabouts, that age range. And of course, I was dealing with a lot of social anxieties. And that's something I was actually digging into a lot more lately at this point because I was taking a speech class in high school. And I remember how much anxiety that class gave me. It's like I was enjoying learning about all these techniques because, of course, why not? Because it's like, oh, I'm getting some knowledge and information on how I can stop being so awkward, stop being so, socially um, disconnected, and like maybe I can use this information to talk to girls, which I did. I was looking through my journal of this time period, and I remember, and there was a lot of conversation in there about being excited about this class because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm learning about this usage of words and going to the dances and just any situation where I might bump into any of my crushes or any of the girls that I felt like I had any kind of direction on to marry, and being like, oh, this is so cool. This is an opportunity for me to use some of my techniques on some of my words so that I can like engage in some social conversation and just stop being so awkward and getting over this. And of course, I'm also thinking, man, I need to get over this because I'm gonna get married any day now. It's like I could be getting married at any time, and I gotta be ready, and I gotta just not be so damn awkward. Another big thing I focused on in this poem is it draws on the power of God and the words that God uses, such as like you see in the Bible when God was creating the heavens and the earth. There's references to that in this poem, talking about how powerful words are and how important it is, and I need to learn how to use them to make connections, and just using that as a cited source of this is a perfect example of how powerful words are, and also seeing a lot of how much I tied every single thing, even the words and the thoughts I had all the time, were just all consumed with how do I get closer to God? How do I, marry the person God wants me to marry? And the way that was going into my church life at this point was, so I was 18 years old, and I was like so at the front end of what I considered spiritual development in the community inside the DCCS. Was that I was 18 years old and I was already working to become a teacher. And I actually did. There was about a year later, I ended up becoming a head teacher, and that's kind of a big deal, especially in the DCCS. And I mean, I was living on the farm, isolated out hundreds of miles away from the main community of the DCCS in the Salt Lake Valley. And so the population wasn't near as big there. And so it was like, well, it wasn't too big of a stretch with the population so sparse that I would get in that position. But to me, that was like the most exciting and most amazing thing ever. Because I'm like, I'm going to be like the youngest head teacher ever. And I was just so excited about being the best of the best of the best. And there was journal entry references of being excited to do these teacher training classes where essentially, and I use the words missionary. I'm like, then I get to learn how to be a missionary. And um, as a student teacher for the Sunday school program, then basically you would practice giving lessons, and you would become student or teacher aides in these Sunday school classes, just becoming assistants. And then these teacher training classes were essentially just teaching us how to just be teachers and how to present lessons and how to study the lessons and how to, make sure we're doing different things to make sure we're carrying the Spirit of God as we're studying these lessons. And so definitely at this point in my life, when I wrote this, then there was a lot of emphasis on how do I talk to people? How do I be a leader? How do I, teach people the gospel? How do I lead a family? Which, that starts with how do I even talk to a girl so that I can get married? Because, like, as soon as you hit 18-year-olds, it's just like, yeah, you need to be getting married. And there's a lot more pressure on women in the DCCS. It's just like they're, girls in the DCCS that are getting married at 16. Like even today, like that kind of stuff's still happening. But there's so much pressure. And for a woman, it's like if you're not married at 18, then you're basically an old maid. And for a guy, there's a bit more leeway with the guy, but there's still a lot of pressure to get married as soon as possible. And so there was just a lot of focus on my life about how to use words and how important they are and how far-reaching they can be. And that's the comparison of, God uses these words, and He created all these creations, and it's just like in a culture where it's like, yeah, the purpose of my life is to graduate this earth and to be like God someday, so I can create my own planet. So that's a bit of the context around what was going on in my life when I wrote this poem titled Words, written May 1st, 2011. And my books are available on Amazon.com. My collection of poetry, The Seasons of Life, Volume 1 and 2, if you want to go check those out and follow along. So go ahead and head on over to my TikTok as Mr. Moonlight, where I'm going to be doing the reading for this, and then also like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Blood Wolf Art Studio. And if you want to also head on over to my Facebook and like and subscribe that just for the updates. I just blast everything on there that connects everything to everything. And also go ahead and check out my website. And thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the other side.